Welcome everyone to yet another episode of ChatGDG with another fantastic guest. We've got Inès, which is an innovation analyst at HSBC. So we're talking about AI, we're talking about data, and she's also quite involved in the community side of things. She's part of GDG London. And also, she does a lot of mentoring and coaching from different, programs. Last but not least, she's one of the mentors for this cohort of ChatGDG. So super excited to have you on, Ines. If you don't mind, if you can introduce yourself and talk about a little bit your journey in tech and all of that.
Yeah, of course. First, thank you, Stefano, for having me here today. Pretty exciting. So I currently work as an innovation analyst at HSBC through a consulting company called Digital Futures. But my journey in tech obviously started much before this. I think I was always really into science in school, mathematics. They were some of my favorite topics. And I tried to self-teach as well when the internet became a little bit more popular and you no longer had to cut off your landline to get access to
Yeah,
the internet.
yeah.
I tried to
Good
self-taught a little
times.
bit of yeah, a little bit of C++, I think at the time.
Mm.
Then I just went on to high school, carried on with the same topics. Um, Throughout university, so I first went for a physics degree, but I was taught how to code in Python there. It didn't work out so well, so I stopped.
Mhm.
I then moved to the UK rather, because I was a bit unhappy at the time and I was trying to do something different.
Okay.
I worked in a few years for in a very unrelated field, as I worked in catering, so GBK, McDonald's, things like this.
Hmm.
A lot of things to learn there, but after a while, I felt like I wanted to go back to something a bit different. So I went back to university to study mathematics. And then I also studied data science and analytics. So that's where I really started with all the tech parts, as I had to learn more Python, some other languages, and all of these things. So then I joined Digital Futures. They provide a training as well. So it's a company that aims helping people to get their first job in tech. So they give a 3 months training and then you get a role with a client. So
We
I
already
was,
have, sorry to cut you, we already had one of these guests, Lisa, right?
yes. Actually,
Yeah, she's
she was my instructor. She is amazing.
yeah.
Yeah, she's great. She's great.
Shout out to Lisa. Shout out to Lisa.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I think I got really lucky because I got this role in HSBC in the innovation department. And almost from the start, and that was back in May 2022, I was already working with large language models. But at the time, ChatGPT wasn't there, right?
Mm.
So, but I was still working with it. So that's a very exciting space to be in. And obviously, as soon as ChatGPT was released, it's like the generative AI storm took everything over. Yeah, so I got lucky to be in that position where I can do a lot of exciting things at work. So it's great.
At the right, in the right place at the right time, literally.
Yeah, exactly.
It's great. It's great. So I've got a quick question. Okay, innovation analyst. What's your job? What does it mean, innovation analyst? What do you analyze all day?
So when I first started, I was in the innovation department. So HSBC has various innovation pockets, but also has an overarching innovation department. My specific role was already to look at generative AI, so potential use cases, what it is, how it works. But overall, an innovation analyst is a role where you look at emerging trends, try
Mm.
to understand if they can be useful and how they can bring value, and then if they can, see how you could progress with them within the company. I mean, obviously my manager would take this kind of decision, but it's still, that's what an innovation analyst is. You just try to understand these new trends, see how they fit and if they could benefit the company. Obviously, because generative AI became so big, I have to say I haven't done much more outside of, I haven't like explored any other trends that generative AI, because there is already a lot to do with it. Um, but I had a coworker who was trying maybe innovative way to solve some problems as well. So overall, it's a place where you can experiment ideas. The innovation
Exactly, right?
field, you experiment ideas. A lot of them won't necessarily work because that's just how innovation is, right? It's about trying and trying and trying until until one of your idea actually sticks.
Exactly. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very, very interesting. So, experiments. I would imagine that you need to run
Yes.
experiments. You need to do probably a lot of prototypes or proof of concept, or because of course you need to prove the point that whatever
Yes.
technology,
Yes.
whatever framework, whatever new language is actually important. So, Gen AI, we hear this over and over again. If let's imagine that someone who's watching this has, let's say, lived under a rock for the last year, and
Yes.
maybe this person does not know what is Gen AI. Can we say in 2 words what is generative AI is all about?
Yeah, of course. It's gonna be maybe a couple more than just
Okay,
two
yeah, yeah,
words,
yeah.
but
Just yeah,
overall,
sure.
it's a type of computer program that can generate content. So normally AI, like more traditional AI, was more about doing some tasks that could be playing chess, help you make decision, things like this, give you the bus route to go to work, for example.
Okay,
But generative AI is more about creating content, so that can be writing text, creating images, creating new sounds, new music. So it's really about generating content rather than just helping you find problems in your data or find patterns in your data. So that's how we could
interesting.
summarize generative AI.
Yeah, okay. That I think is a very, very good way of putting that, because normally, as you said, is almost like helping you optimize things, like what's perhaps the best route to go to work, or what's the best way to play that chess match and whatnot.
Yes. Yes.
Whilst generally AI is like almost fantasy land. You think
Yeah.
about you don't think, you need to prompt it. I mean, I think eventually we will reach the point when you think things will happen, but for now you need to prompt that, and then you can
Yeah.
literally create words, or create, I don't know, planets, or create universes. It's
Yeah,
quite
that's quite
cool.
fascinating because generative AI isn't fully new as a field. Like it already existed before, but it's just turned into something different since we've had models like ChatGPT, where, as you said, you only need to use a prompt in English or another language to ask what you want. And that's what made it a lot more accessible as well than a more traditional AI tool. And it's really helpful for people who have ideas, but maybe not, this technical background or this technical training to still use them and make new things, come up with really innovative solutions, for example, or innovative products. So
Exactly.
that's
This is, I think, what this does is really bridging the gap between, and it's like to are not say probably accessible to anyone, or more accessible than it was before, because of course the all the technical stuff happen under the hood. So again, as a user, probably I know there is probably a little bit more complicated than just type a few words. There are some prompt in a, you need to learn how to prompt, probably, but that is
yeah.
not as complex, I would imagine, as being a machine learning engineer, or
No,
a proper
exactly.
data person. So that's why it's much more accessible, and it's
Yes.
cool, I think. And it's very, very cool. What is the level? Because once again, now for some reason everyone wants to become a data engineer or a machine learning engineer. I suspect
Mm,
that most of that is due to the hype. So people think that they do this job and it's super cool, and you know it's cool, it's a cool job, but probably,
mm,
can we explain a little bit exactly, what's the technical level that you have to deal with it, and how, all of that. Can we try to unpack actually what it is to work in data and
mm.
AI?
Yeah, yeah, that's true. There is a lot in data and AI, and because it's such a trendy field, I understand that it attracts a lot of people. So the thing is, data and AI, you can have varying level of technical abilities
Mm,
required.
okay.
You can be obviously a machine learning or a machine learning researcher, where here you need a PhD and it's going to be very technical. And that's the people who are behind the architecture of ChatGPT, for example. Here you need to be very, very, very technical. But then you could have then data analysis, which is different. It's more trying to identify trend in data, put some dashboards together. So it's technical, but it's a different type. So you might not need the same, like you don't need the same type of skills.
Okay.
Data engineering, I know a few people, like I know it's not for me, but the data engineering is the people who gather the data and kind of clean it, store it, prepare a pipeline so that data scientists have this data ready to go. So this is more, I think there's a lot more coding involved in that. I don't want to say wrong things about it, but from what I understand, it's more a lot more coding oriented because you have to prepare that data, clean it, make sure it's in the right form, in the right shape as well. Data scientists, so you have quite a few stages. So that's the one I'm the most familiar with, where you have to address a business problem. And that's probably one of the most important thing to remember when people work in AI or with AI is to first find a problem you're trying to solve and not just think I want to do AI for the sake of doing AI, because maybe the
Exactly.
problem you have, like the newest AI technology might not be what you need, or even if it works, there might be cheaper or different solutions too. So the origin of a data science project is a business problem. What are you trying to solve? And that's when then you get your data, you try to figure out if your data can be used. And that's then once you have all of this information, you can move on to the modeling. So that's where you're expected to apply statistical knowledge and statistical skills, mathematics, to create your right models. And then you can deploy these models if they work. So this is a little bit more technical, but there are a lot of options in tech and in AI where you don't need to know all of this knowledge. You can work in tech without to be like a hardcore techie. A lot of the job that I do, for example, is more evangelizing generative AI. So teaching people what it is, helping them understand what's happening on the digital landscape, for example. So I have to be up to date and understand these technologies and then try to translate that into maybe more layman terms to help people grasp and understand the potential or even be less scared of it, because some people, they really don't trust it. They
Yeah,
feel
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
So that's another kind of role that you can have in data and AI is more about upskilling, educating as well, which I find really, really fun. And in that case, it's maybe more soft skills oriented than, hard technical skills. So I think there is room for a lot of different type of roles and different type of skill set required to be able to work in AI. So if you want to get in tech or you want to get in data, you don't need, like, it's fine if you don't have a master's or a PhD. There are so many possibilities out there, even more so now with generative AI and understanding how to prompt these models.
I
Like
think
this is
that we are
something you need to,
scratching the surface. I think there are many more
yeah,
jobs that we don't even know. Maybe in 2, 3, 5 years time, maybe I can totally
for
see
sure.
new things popping up, and there will be opportunities. And what you said is pretty valuable. Tech is not necessarily, super skilled, hardcore coding and stuff. This is very important. There are there are
Yeah,
very
absolutely.
non-technical roles, or there are also some roles that I find personally fascinating, which is these hybrid roles, exactly as you said.
Yes.
So you are a technical person, maybe not as technical as someone else, which is more with a PhD and whatnot, but definitely more
Hmm.
technical than other people, and you balance the other half out with perhaps some very important soft skill, like teaching and coaching and mentoring.
Yes.
I found it very interesting because you need to get the technical level, so you need to hit that bar in order to, okay, I know what I'm doing, I understand that, but most importantly, you have the ability using your skill set to break that down in a way that non-technical people can grasp it, because sometimes he's genuinely speaking another language, right?
Yes, yeah, for sure.
Genuinely. And of course,
For
is
sure.
people don't understand if on the other end there is someone in the middle that can act as a, translator, because this is what you are doing. You are kind of like translating the technical stuff in a way that the non-technical people can grasp them, and then if they are interested, maybe they can explore the more technical things on in their own time. But what's important is to do this first step. It's not nothing to be scared of. Is complicated stuff. It's not easy, so you need to put the time, you need to put the effort, but it's doable. That's also, I think, is an important message to
Yes.
convey. I guess that you are having so many people asking you, reaching out to you, right? How can I join this field and whatnot? Especially for all the mentorship that you do. What's the typical, if there is any advice that you give to maybe someone young, maybe says, I'm not sure whether this is a field for me. Is there any typical tips that you give to people?
So one tips that I like to give to people is to first get mentors, more than one.
More
I
than
think
one,
that's really
yes.
important. More than one, and ideally with different profile, because
Mm-mm.
the thing as well with tech roles is that especially if you're in school or university, and you go to the career center, they will know about maybe the most common roles, but there are just so many jobs out there, and it can feel really, really daunting to even
Mhm.
start exploring. Where do you start exploring all of these possibilities? So I find that mentors are really good to help putting things together, trying to understand ourselves together better. Oh, sorry, trying to understand ourselves better.
Mhm.
So getting mentors, um, knowing a bit of coding, even if you're not an expert coder, like understanding, I think a bit of, I would say Python, because in data roles, that's most of the time the language
Mhm.
that's required.
Yeah.
Again, it's fine if you're not, you don't need to be super good at it, but having the basics is always good.
Mm-mm-mm.
Um, like doing some projects. I remember at the Google Extended I/O, we had, I think it was Eddie, if you remember,
Yeah,
who was here to talk about the open source movement.
of course. Shout out to
So
Eddie, our friend, because
yeah,
Eddie is amazing.
yeah. So he was promoting as well GitHub and open source, and how you can
Mm.
take part into projects that way, just to, even by doing small bits and bobs, but still it's showing that you're collaborating. So it's showcasing these soft skills on top of your technical skills. Just trying a couple of projects here and there. They don't have to be complicated. Start simple, even if it's a tutorial that you redo at home, just to see how you feel about it. Because there are some job roles that are really, really popular, but then when you try it, you realize that actually that's not for you. You don't
Exactly.
like it, or there is something about it that's you're just not feeling it, right? So trying a few projects, get some mentors, go to events. I find that's really helpful. Networking events as well, or various kind of events, especially if you're in a big city and you have these opportunities. Like in London, there are
Oh,
so
wow.
many free events. You don't even need to spend money on that, which is quite important, I think, when you're a student. Like sometimes you can be on a tight budget. And
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
look, if you look at website like Eventbrite, there is the Excel Center in London as well that has a lot of events going on. So if you can check out their page regularly and see which ones are free. Google has events too that I highly recommend. But overall, going to events is probably one of the best things you can do. By meeting professionals who are doing these jobs already, you can ask them more details about it. Just have a better perspective of what's happening out there as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's the difference between expectations and what is like really, right? Because AI. Everyone
Yeah.
thinks that AI, you're gonna be Tony Stark, Iron Man. You're gonna build the suits and fly around, or maybe you're gonna conversate with Jarvis, or you know. No, I mean it's maybe not like this. It's a little
Yeah.
bit difficult. So it's really important to have the reality check from someone who's actually doing
Yeah.
that, and try to understand and try to grasp as much as possible.
Yeah.
Absorb. I mean,
I
if you are
think
a
one,
student, you should be a sponge, right? You should absorb everything. What do you say?
yeah,
Sorry.
I was gonna say one more thing about AI as well. I know it's very glamorous right now, very like this hot topic,
Mm,
but there is a number, like a lot of AI project actually fail and never get to see the day, and that's normal. That's part of like the AI cycle, but that's not something that's really told out there,
mm,
that a lot of them
okay.
actually fail. That usually comes because of the data that's used for this project. There is not enough data, it's not good enough, or other problems, there is bias in that data. But there are so many examples as well from groups like Amazon, Google, Microsoft, who try AI project and it just doesn't work. So I think
Okay.
it's important to keep that in mind as well, that yeah, AI can be really fun, but it doesn't mean that it's going to work every single time. So don't get disappointed if
Yeah,
it doesn't.
exactly. It's like real life. It's not like everything super cool. There are the heights and the lows. You should be, especially not just in data, in I would say in life in general, but let's keep it in tech minimum. You should get familiar with failing. So you should get familiar with the idea that failing is not bad. Failing is not, because people often have this sense of guilt, like I failed, so I'm not worthy. No, it's not like that. It's important just to get to learn some lessons. It's what's probably not nice if you fail and if you learn nothing from that. That's probably not a nice feeling. But if you fail and even if you learn a small thing, that is something that you can put on the next project, and the next project is most likely to be successful. And maybe that project is gonna fail once again, and it's fine, because now you've got many lessons that you've learned, and chances are that the third one will be the right one. So try to change this mindset, people. So failing is part of the job. If you don't fail, I think there is a problem, because if you don't fail, probably no, seriously, you didn't push enough, and you don't grow. You unfortunately you grow when there is this little bit uncomfortable sense of I'm not really sure. Yes, but then that is what actually is making you grow and becoming a better person. So yeah, failing very important. What is there any
Yeah.
particular fail that you you were part of, that you learned something from it, or even something fun? I don't know.
Oh, so I'm trying to think at work
Hmm.
if we had. Hmm. The thing is, because when you work in innovation, you never take part into super important projects, like, not the
Hmm.
type of critical projects.
No, of course.
So obviously the pressure is a bit less. And if it doesn't work, it's a bit like, I have a coworker actually who has been helped on a project that is brought to the table. It's brought back every single year.
Okay.
But every single year there's new problems. So it's about every bank has provide their annual statement at the end of the year, right? But I don't know if you've ever looked at the bank, like their oh, I can't remember the word for it, but they publish all of their figures for the
Hmm.
year. If you've never looked at them, it's PDFs that can be 50 pages long or something like this. And every single bank will write these reports at the end of the year. And that means that you have poor people who have to go through these reports to extract the number. Like, for example, someone from Lloyd's will need to check the reports from other companies, right, to see how things are going.
Yeah.
And that's extremely time consuming. And for example, that's something that him and another coworker has been trying to work on for a year, a tool that could help you get this information
Yeah,
without
nice.
having to go through all of the
Mm-mm.
pages. Because the other problem here is that there is no standardized formats. Even within the company, maybe in 2020, their report had a certain like number of pages and the table had a certain headers. And in 2021, they changed the headers. So that means even within the same company, you can't just be sure that it will always be
Mm.
the same. Um, and that's something that they have been trying every year. It's like the project is kind of brought back to try to solve that problem, but then again, some there is always like some technical issues, some data issues, and they keep bringing it back because it would be quite valuable, but it's such a difficult project that it kind of keeps being like sort of slowed down, put at the back, and then brought again. There is a lot to learn from this kind of projects, even when you're part of it, because of the experience that you get and all the type of technology, and you have to think in very innovative ways as well. And here, there's an example of something that would be amazing if it happened, but it's really difficult to actually produce.
Yeah,
So
okay, I see
then,
what you mean. Yeah. I mean,
so I
hopefully,
don't have a
one
fun
day.
one.
No, it's fine.
Yeah,
It's just, whatever example. This, I think, is pretty valid example because the business case is quite strong here. So if this will become a thing, it will really solve quite a few problems for quite a few people. But of course, it takes a lot of time and a lot of iteration. That's why the iterative approach is important, right? Get feedback, fail, get feedback, try to do
yeah,
better. Fail
yeah.
again, get feedback, try to. That's the game, right? That's
I,
the.
actually, yeah, something that people should look at if they consider getting in tech is called design thinking. There are a lot
Mm,
of free courses out there, and design thinking is an approach on when you have a problem, trying to first put yourself into the user or the customer end, think about what they really would want, and then the whole thing of design thinking is to have a lot of little prototypes, trying a lot of ideas, different ideas, then to see which one is good. And a lot of them will fail because I guess that's just how it is, right? But the idea is, yeah, to have a lot of ideas. You create quick prototypes just to see if it would work. If it doesn't, you move on to a different one until you find a solution that should work and also be really good for your customers or end users. Because the idea is like you collaborate and you get feedbacks from them as well throughout the whole process. So something you want to have a look at, I would say design thinking as well. It's not technical, but it's quite important to know as well.
yeah, interesting. This is more like what kind of mindset you should have, what kind of things you should look for. Yeah, because once again, it's not just about technical skills. Clearly, are important, but I think there is so much more that sometimes is overlooked, and I think
Yeah,
this this soft skill, which for soft skill is means a plethora of different things, right? But that, I mean, can mean coaching, hiring, can be how good you talk to people, how the
mm,
stakeholder management. There are quite a few how to even do some presentations, how to deal
yes,
with people in general, right? Because you can convey the same exact message in two different ways, and maybe one of which really is not landing well with people because maybe it's
yeah,
conveying not in the right way. The same exact thing, if you are able to convey that in a way that the other person, you already know the other person can receive
mm,
fully, that is the skill, I guess, because once again the
yeah,
message is exactly the same. So the form, the way in which you convey things, I think is really important, and it
it's really
makes a
important.
difference, right?
Yeah,
At the end of the day, we work in teams, right? So there is you can work in small team, in a big team, it's fine. Still, if you want to do this job, I mean tech in general, you need to be a team player. That's really no other way. You
mhm,
you because at the end of the day, you will spend hours and hours and days and weeks and months and years of your life with people in your team or people in your inner circle. Can be the big team, if that makes sense. But it's really important to have these soft skills. So you need to work well, you need to be happy, you need to, if some issues, because clearly sometimes maybe some problems here and there are ways of fixing problems, so it's not a big deal if you know how to do that. And then that's pretty much it. And then you immediately you will have a high performing team, this high performing team, this
yeah,
concept about like how do we measure, what's the metric. The metric, the baseline is the team has to be happy, needs to work well, all the team member needs to know what they are doing and why. If all of that is going to happen, chances are that that team is a really good candidate to become a high performing team, because
Yeah.
that's pretty much it. Then how to measure that? Of course, there are a million ways, but if you need to have this baseline first. This is what I think and what I'm trying to do.
No, agreed. And actually, something maybe for the people who are listening and are in their early careers, from what I hear from other coworkers, something that's really important is if you have a problem, don't wait to say that you're having a problem.
Mm,
If someone gives you a deadline and you're really struggling, don't wait for the end of the deadline to say I couldn't do it because I had a problem. Like as you said, we are here to work as a team and support each other. And your manager or supervisor or whoever your coworkers, they would appreciate actually if you told them before, so that they can help you solve it, rather than thinking you will deliver something in a week time and actually you weren't able to. And that's fine if you can't do it. Like what's important is just to be able to express that and be open about it. And it can be like technical problems, it can be because something at home isn't going great as well and is affecting your mood. I think it's quite important to just say it when you're struggling, so that then your team can support you efficiently.
yeah, please. 100% that everyone do exactly what she said, because it's very important, because at the end of at the end of the day you are just postponing something, right? Because so by
Yeah,
postponing that, unfortunately, you are creating a problem. If you flag this at the right time, there is no problem, right? Because okay, there is a challenge there. Your manager or your project manager or the team lead, whoever, if that person knows, that person can say, yeah, maybe he can make you pairing with someone else. So maybe that is in the way of fixing that. And by pairing with someone else that they perhaps has more knowledge about that, right? So you, as they say, kills two birds with one stone. You get the ticket done, and also the person who was a little bit struggling at first, by pairing with another person, is gaining knowledge. No, so you really, so that person can really help maybe the next task, or if they need you to develop further. But you need to flag this, folks. You need to flag this at the right time. Don't
yeah,
wait 5 minutes
that's really important.
prior.
Yeah,
That is a little bit of a problem, because if the expectations are different. If you don't say anything, your manager, your coworker, your team members, your boss, they are expecting that thing to be done, right? Because if you don't flag anything, everything is fine,
yeah.
right? So
They
you
think that
should
is
really.
like it's like no news, good news, right?
Exactly, because that is
So
the expectation. That's the baseline. So it's very important. Don't be shy. No one is judging you. Everyone make, you have no idea the mistakes that the senior engineer, the principal engineer, not only the mistakes that they made, the mistakes they are currently making. Everyone makes mistakes on a daily basis, from the CTO to the junior or to the apprentice. Flag this. You will be recognized as someone brave to flag, hey, sorry, I don't know how to do this, I need help. Flagging that you need help, you should be considered brave to do that. And now, that person,
yeah,
is a weak person. You are not weak. You're strong if you flag that you need help. So please do what
yeah,
Ines was
that's
saying.
true.
It's very
And
important.
most of the time, the answer that you will get as well from your coworkers was, "Oh, thank you for letting me know. Let's see what we can do to address this problem." Like
Exactly.
they want to help you, right? They're not here to put you down.
Exactly. What's there is no
So
point, right? So you should help people. People should help you. Should be this, both ways, always both ways. And the longer that passes, the more, you know um the bigger the problem becomes. Like if you have some health issue, check that now, don't wait. Is exactly
yeah,
the same thing. Literally, it's exactly the same
that's
thing.
true.
Time in that kind of environment is critical. So time is very important. You should respect the time, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's a very good advice. So all this
Yeah.
mentoring that you do, like tell us a little bit more, because I know that you are involved in quite a few different things. So I'm really, really curious about that.
Uh, okay, so for mentoring, I took part. So I've done quite a few. I took part in a program organized by, I never get the order right. I think it's Coding Black Female in this order, which is a
Hmm.
nonprofit that helps Black women to get into tech. And they had a 12 weeks partnership. So here I just helped a young woman who was graduating from her degree but realized that she didn't want to do that.
Mm.
And she wanted to do something a bit different. So I helped her. Um, I'm taking part as well of the GDG Academy that just kickstarted recently. That was a really, really fun evening with so many students.
Yeah.
So again, an opportunity to meet students, see what they're up to, um, what questions they have as well, their concerns, what they want to do. They were all so motivated as well. That was great to see. I've done some mentoring through work as well. I've helped as well people from my company. Um, I recently did I think it was a work experience day for um, young woman in doing her A levels, and she was in a school that wasn't so supportive of tech careers, unfortunately. So she wanted to just be talking to people in the tech industry to understand what was happening. But overall, I will say I wanted to do mentoring because during my master's, I had someone who helped me so much with my thesis. I was really, really struggling a lot. And I remember it was during COVID as well, which made things a little bit tougher.
Mm.
But he was so helpful. And even to this day, like he's still my mentor. But he, gave me all of this time and all of these advice and all of these great help for free, effectively, when you know how much, the kind of advice, if you are going to a professional, that would cost so much money to get them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he said, yeah, I'm mentoring you now, but you'll see later, like, it will be your turn. And that's how it feels, I think, for anyone who's been mentored. It kind of feels like this after a while, that you want to give back to the community, to the younger generation, for example, who's coming through. That reminds me a bit of a concept, actually, that there is well, if I'm not incorrect, in Sweden. I was told this by a Swedish person. Maybe I don't want to say that it happens 100%, but he told me that usually people in the working life will pay, if they go for food with people who are studying, they will pay for their meals, because the expectation is that once these students are themselves in the working life and they go for lunch, for example, with students, they will then pay for the meal of these students. So it's part of a
Yeah.
cycle
Nice.
of,
It's a
yeah.
cultural thing, actually. I mean, what you
Mm,
said is exactly a cultural thing. The culture of will help you now, and then you will help someone. Is a chain. Is you're almost
it's a
a
chain, yeah.
It's a chain, but it's a good chain. You know what I mean? It's a good chain because you need both. The reality of things that you actually need both. You don't just need a mentor, which is super important, but you also need, when the time is right, to mentor someone,
Yeah.
because it's always, always, always both ways. It's not never one way. Mentoring is never top down. It's top down as well as bottom up. It should be both ways, because otherwise it's not mentoring, it's listening to someone talking. That is, listen, mentoring should be an interactive thing. Questions, because I learn so much as a mentor. I learn so much from my mentees, because I get exposed to different way of thinking. And maybe when I say something that I say often and I know that is right, maybe someone challenges that. I say, okay, hold on, that's a very good question, because it's important to
Mhm.
get exposed to different people coming from different backgrounds, because that is where things really start to get interesting, start to get these different point of views, and the end result is clearly much better, because the end results at that time it will take into account all these different, thinking, and it will be better. I mean, simple as that. So it's very important mentoring, and yeah, for both people, for both, the mentor and the mentee.
Yeah, for sure. There is so much to learn from mentees. As you said, they can challenge you, but sometimes just as well ask questions of things you never really thought about before,
Exactly.
and just expand your horizon or bring you new information because they come from different fields too, something you never studied. So one more thing as well about you become a mentor later, like no one will ever force you or like
Ah, no, of
put a
course.
knife to your throat. Like if I mentor you, you will become a mentor later. Like this is more,
Yes.
you know, it's not that that's not how it works. We just, this is something that your mentors more likely will tell you at some point, but it's not in a way that they are expecting you to do it as a condition for them to mentor you.
No,
Like
absolutely not.
that's not
But
what it
and
is at all.
no, no, of course, of course. You should use it well in order to clarify this, because I can totally see people perhaps getting confused. But what's very important, it's of course much more likely for that to happen if that person is in the right environment, and that's why we get back to the cultural thing. If everyone, is doing that, you as a person, you are much more incentivized to try to do that, even if mentoring is not for everyone. You know what I mean? There is maybe for some people, so for some other people are perhaps less confident or perhaps less. But if you're in the right environment, okay, let's try, let's give it a shot, and then
Yeah.
chances are that you will succeed, because mentoring is genuinely helping people. So this is what it is: sharing your story, listen to the people question, try to give them different angles, try to perhaps challenge them if they want to. One of the things that I hear quite often from the mentee or maybe the young people, clearly everyone is what's the word, is lured in, working in, for example, for the big tech or the big banking, or the fintech or the hedge funds, because of course, if you have the right role, they pay well. I mean, they pay well, but it's not just that. That's the problem. You want to do that is fine, but there is so much more. This is the important. No one is condemning you should or you should not. That's not what mentoring is to lay on the table the different options, and chances are there are often different options, right?
And if you do want to get to mentoring, but you don't know where to start, maybe you feel like you don't know enough yet. Like mentoring takes so many shapes. It's not just, there is obviously the classic one-on-one, but sometimes it can be one mentor for a smaller group. But if you want to start now, you could see if, for example, your high school is doing some initiatives where they ask for students who are early careers or university to come talk to the current A-level students, for example, or GCSE students or things like this. That already is a form of mentoring, and that could be a way as well for you to get started, because that's you going, sharing your experience, answering questions as well, of to younger people who want maybe to follow your path as well or get in a similar track. So there are many, many shapes that can be a conversation once that you're having at a networking event. Oh, I think my camera.
Hmm. No, it's fine.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
All good.
The sorry, the screens
Yeah,
went
yeah, no
a
problem.
bit dark. Yeah, so that could be a coffee, a mentoring, like networking event, all of these things. Okay.
A- Actually, because chances are that sometimes people also think about mentoring like a necessarily a very lengthy team. So I need to be your mentor for 5 years. No, that's not the case. So a mentorship session can be even very very short, right? And for example, if you want to, I think we lost Ines. Are you here, Ines?
Hello?
Hello. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
The Yeah, hear you well. Yes, I
Ah,
just don't have you
okay.
in video.
Yeah, I think my internet
Okay.
kind
Okay,
of
fine. Perfect.
crashed for a little bit.
No problem.
Sorry about
No, no,
that.
no problem at all. Now, what I was saying, like mentoring can even be a couple of sessions, right? Because chances are that, especially some people, they really need to have the answer to maybe 3 or 4 key questions, and that can be a absolutely
Mm,
valuable mentoring session. So it's not necessarily something that should last like months or years. If you can find it, that's great, because of course you're gonna get the best from it. But chances are that mentoring can even be a little bit on a shorter side. The most important thing is like to have the time of that person. that that
yes.
that is key, to have the time of that person that of course you are looking for to get knowledge from, and that's key. And even if you've got a couple of hours with someone, I think is much better than nothing, right?
Yes,
That's another
absolutely.
point. So yeah, try to appreciate people's time, and try to make the most out of it. So what about the community side? Also, you're part of GDG London, right?
Yes,
Okay,
GDG
okay.
London.
Mm-hmm,
I joined fairly recently, actually, through, well, that's, I guess, a good example of how networking can help you. I was at one of Google events, and Lisa was also there because she's a
mm-hmm,
Google Woman Tech Maker.
mm-hmm.
And she introduced me to someone who was preparing a generative AI event or workshop through GDG. And I said, "Oh, I work with generative AI." So he's offered that I go help him. And I did. I went to this event and I helped him, like support him on the day. And from there, I was then offered to join the GDG community. So that was something that was quite unexpected, but really fun. And now we are preparing for the Dev Fest that's coming up in November. So
Yes.
again, if you're curious about tech, this is a great event to go to. We have a student discount, and there will be a lot of really, really interesting speakers, a lot of interesting people to meet as well. So I highly encourage you to go. So I'm
Yeah,
also
very
part
good
of
point.
the Google Women Tech Maker program as an ambassador. Oh,
We've, we've got a logo too there for women tech makers, because I'm also an ambassador there.
ah,
Yeah, so very good point about the DevFest. So, folks, DevFest is the probably the most important community event of the year. It's going to be GDG London and GDG Cloud London, both groups collaborating on this. So it's going to happen on the 18th of November. And yeah, it's going to be hosted, get hosted at King's College London. It's going to be an all-day event on a Saturday, 9 a.m., 5 p.m. And yeah, we're going to have 3 different tracks: the web and mobile, the AI and cloud, and a community track with a bunch of very, very high caliber speakers. We're going to have people from Google speaking, people from pretty good companies. I think we're talking about 40, 45 speakers or something like that, distributed, of course, across these 3 tracks. We also are gonna have some workshops. We're also gonna have a bunch of raffles. It's a fun day. It's a fun day, folks. So
yeah,
just if you can just join. The prices are very, very we're talking about it, £10, £15, or I mean something like that. You're pretty much is a community, event. So we need this little bit of help, because with all the sponsor we can cover until so much.
yeah,
That's this is the only quote unquote paid community event of the year, because it's on a bigger scale, and of course the cost of venue and catering and all of that for a no profit like us is a little bit difficult. So that's the only thing. So I would highly recommend everyone
yeah,
to join
absolutely.
if you can. Also, clearly, just to have more infos on LinkedIn, on Twitter, follow GDG London, GDG Cloud London. If you follow our pages, we'll often post you know what you need to do, where you need to go in order to get a ticket. And then we will start advertising all the speakers and all the talks, because also is very important. So if you, again, if you look the at the space of GDG London and GDG Cloud London, you will find many more info, yeah, very, very soon. So hopefully see everyone there. It's gonna be a good fun.
It will be
Uh,
fun.
yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. So when exactly, when did you join GDG London? Was like 2-3 months back, or
Yeah, it was back in the summer. This
okay?
summer, and I joined as well I joined Google. I mean, I became a Women Tech Maker ambassador as well
Yeah,
over the summer.
in the last round, because you know it's
Yes.
like at the same time that it was like the same case for me and many other people. So
Mhm.
it was like, I think, July or something,
Yeah, it was
probably
around July.
around that time. So you did not attend the Google I/O
I
Connect.
was there
You
actually.
were there.
The Google I/O
The
extended.
Connect,
Ah,
the one in Amsterdam.
no, no, not that one,
Okay, not the one, because you were not part at that time. Okay, yeah, I see. So hopefully, you know,
unfortunately.
next year it's gonna be an event as good as Amsterdam. Amsterdam was
Ooh,
absolutely incredible. Was
it looked
great.
amazing. I've seen
Whoa,
pictures.
wow, just wow. You know, everyone said it was better than the San Francisco one.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. No, it was really good. It was really good. I mean, for an event to be that good, there is also a sprinkle of luck, because for example, the organization was amazing, but we got
Mm.
very lucky with the weather, and the weather
Oh,
is
yeah.
very difficult to control.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
that
I
was
can imagine.
the little kind of luck that we needed. We got lucky. The weather was amazing, just blue sky, 26, 25,
Wow.
26 degrees. Incredible, incredible.
That
So
that
good,
sounds so good. Yeah.
so
Really
good.
jealous.
Yeah, but I mean,
Looks at the
oh,
pictures.
I know, but this is, you know, what we get. So we really work hard as a volunteer for the GDGs, of course, to, you know, organize content and events and things. It's time consuming and all of that, but
Yeah,
this
for
is
sure.
what we get. At least we get, you know, invited to this really amazing, like, yeah, festival, because there was not a conference. There was a festival. There was as good as a festival.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow, that's great. Looking forward to next year then.
yeah, 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 absolutely, absolutely. And also, so for you, you know, DevFest, this is the first, let's say, big thing that you are helping or organizing as
Yes.
the GGG community. Okay, nice, good, pretty good. How do you find just the, since you, I think is a new experience for you, or I don't know how.
Yeah, organizing an event like
Mm,
this for sure is really, really interesting. There's a lot to learn. There are so many things to consider, like the room, size of the room, the
mm,
catering, um, what food we choose to have. I mean, all of these details. How many when you buy some merch, like how much you need, like the estimation, right, of how much you need to buy. I think my biggest learn of this is when we did the speech selection, the speaker selection.
mhm.
Seeing some of the speeches abstract and like some speakers' bios made me reconsider everything that I had written on my own LinkedIn profile. It was almost like a wake-up call. There were so many good quality like
Right.
speakers there, so
Yeah.
that's really really interesting, and it's I don't know the thinking as well that you will get to meet these people as well, hear their talk. That's so exciting.
Yeah, there
And
is
then,
really a lot of value that you can gain just by looking at, not even selecting, just looking at all the.
yes.
We had something like 115 submissions or something like that. So it was a big number, right? Just to look at all these talks, I think
Mm,
uh, it's very valuable. And exactly as you said, it's like, okay, I really need to up my game now, because I saw
yeah,
how good that person is. I really need to do maybe a little bit more. But this is good. This is why you grow, right? So this is
exactly. It's by
exactly by getting the exposure to different
yes,
things.
seeing yeah, getting exposure to the people who are more experienced That's so good. That's again, I'm not going to say this is a form of mentoring because it's not, but that's definitely a way to learn more as well on
Is
how
an
to
is
present
an
yourself.
is an indirect mentoring. If that makes any sense, right? Just to
Yeah.
convey the idea that you can learn. You can learn from reading an article, from reading someone's bio. For example, some people
Hmm.
I read their bio and I say, okay, why am I even here?
Yeah.
What's okay? So but then no, of course we
Yeah.
need to get just the positive things, the right things that perhaps we can use and we can leverage in our own things. So just to have to, and that's why also it's very important to be part of a community. Just be
Yeah.
a community member. You don't need to be the lead organizer, or if you want, sure, but you know start with just
Start slow.
join a
Yeah.
group. It's free. I think it can be 40 seconds job. You need just to go there, join, create an account. Once again, especially if you are lucky and you live in a big city, let's say London, for example, because
Mm.
both of us we live in London. There are a bunch of groups. GDG London, GDG Cloud London, we already said that. But there are even more specific groups, like there is a group for Flutter from Android one. There are many
Mm.
groups for Flutter, Android, I don't know, React, JavaScript, Python, Java, whatever you want. There is a group for everything. There is a meetup
Yeah.
group for everything.
And if you don't have the chance to have a lot of local groups like this, there are a lot of Discord communities as well on every topic that you
Yeah,
can find, and you can also
exactly.
meet great people there. There is one
Exactly.
for Python, some for data science. I mean, you'll find everything on Discord as well.
Very good point. Very good point. Discord, I think, is becoming the de facto alternative if you are fully remote or fully virtual, and it's a very important tool. Yeah, because it's a community tool. So you can build a community and you don't necessarily need to be in the same place to do so. Maybe it's cool, maybe once per year, twice per year to organize a get together kind of thing. That's it's pretty cool, especially if you come from a fully remote community. When that moment happened, that you finally, after maybe weeks or months, you get to see different people. I think is really good, a good feeling, right? Because
Yeah,
you,
it's
that's
always
cool.
nice. I remember I
Yes.
used to play a lot of
Mhm.
games online when I was younger. It
Mm.
was always like the LAN parties and meeting people in real life is always it was the highlight every time.
I didn't know that you were a gamer, like a proper gamer, because you're talking about being
Yeah.
on TeamSpeak or something like that
Yes,
with
yes.
the
Mumble
clan or with the guild.
as well. Yeah.
Ooh,
I
that's
went
cool.
to the Insomnia gaming party like a long time ago
That's
as
cool.
well.
Yeah, I've done all of that thing when I was, of course, younger. Yeah, I have attended quite a few LANs, and back in the days, because I think, I'm a few years, let's just say a few, older than you. So we're talking about when I went to LAN in 2002, 2005, 2004,
Mm.
that age. So it was a little bit different back then. You had to carry
Yes, bring
the
your own
case,
device.
you have to carry the monitor.
Yes, yes,
It
yes, I
was
remember as well.
Yes, it was tough, but it was amazing. That was part of the adventure. Let's put it that way. Maybe
Yeah.
there is a group of you. You need, because some of the people they had 18 years old, 17, 20, 21. It was a very young, of course, community, right? Because you are a gamer, so maybe you needed to find that person with a car, and then three people
Yes,
jump in
that's
a
true.
in a in a
That's
car,
true.
drive 3, 4, 5 hours,
I
get there,
remember that.
you know and
Gets like small hotel rooms where you go at four in it, although there is only one bed, and you
I've
sleep
done it
on the
worse.
floor.
Yes,
But
I've
like,
done
yeah,
it worse. We generally already knew that, so we slept into the venue. Easy in the tables with all
that's
the
true.
things.
That's true. That's true. There were some people sleeping under the tables as well.
That was
I
the
remember that.
that was the way back then.
That's
So
true.
much fun. So much fun. Oh my god. Yes. 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 That was cool.
Yeah.
Good man. Thank you for
You're
this.
welcome.
I did not expect that. That was really I really got excited because that was cool. Good
It was
times.
always really worth, like, it was so much fun to just meet these people that you interact really often with but never get to see. And like it really made
Yeah,
such a difference. So yeah,
and
join
it
online
does
community
exactly.
and then go to in-person events even if it's just once a year.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You can gain so much more. Really, really, really. All right, Ines. We are out of time. There has been a fantastic
Yeah.
conversation. Thank you for that. I think we touched very important points. So
Oh, thank you for
it
having
was
me.
great. Yeah, no problem. So thanks again. Yeah, I'll see you soon. I'll see everyone soon.